Hey guys, PokéDan here. In the last region top 10 video I made, we visited the Kanto region, and as we all know, after Kanto comes Johto. The Johto games added many features to the Pokemon franchise that we still have in the most recent games. I'm talking about features like shiny Pokemon and breeding. And Johto isn't only known for the features it gave us either, because the Johto games also gave us some iconic, memorable, and even fan favorite Pokemon. So in this video, you guys join me to count down my top 10 favorite Johto Pokemon, and it goes without saying guys, this is all in my opinion, so be sure to let me know who some of your favorite Johto Pokemon are down in the comments. But with all that being said, let's get started. Coming in at the number 10 spot on this list is Johto Evolution Umbreon. Although this Pokemon isn't my favourite evolution, nevertheless I still really like it. Umbreon is one of the evolutions that has a really sleek and awesome looking design, and out of all of its evolution family, I feel as though it's one of the more popular evolutions. Of course, the Gen 2 games also introduced two new types, the Dark and Steel type, and Umbreon is the Pokemon that I feel pretty much represents the Dark type. Same with Sylveon and the Fairy type. I remember watching the short animated film Eevee and Friends, and in that short animated film, Umbreon was just looking awesome. Not only does Umbreon look great in its official art, but it's awesome too in the anime. I just really like Umbreon, it's a brilliant Pokemon and it deserves a spot on this list. Coming in at number 9 spot on this list is Ambipom. Pre-evolution of the Sinnoh Pokemon Ambipom, Ambipom is a great Pokemon that I happen to really like. Fun fact for those of you who didn't know, but Ambipom was one of the Pokemon I was going to have as my channel mascot before I settled for Jinchao. This was because when I started my channel, I really liked Ambipom. I was pretty much running a fan club for this Pokemon in my head. I liked Ambipom mainly because of its design. I found it to be a cute but still cool looking Pokemon, and I still do. But back then, I liked it way more. I also remember seeing Ambipom in the Hoenn and Sinnoh anime under the ownership of Ash and Dawn, and it was just great. Although in recent years, my love for this Pokemon has started to lack, I thought it deserved a spot on this list anyway because it could have been the channel mascot. Coming in at the number 8 spot on this list is one of the Johto legends, it's Lugia. Although I don't dislike Ho-Oh, I did play Pokemon Soul Silver, so naturally I prefer the psychic and flying legendary Lugia. I say I played Pokemon Soul Silver, and that's true, but I've actually never played the original Gen 2 games, which is something I'm hoping to get done in the future. But anyway, Lugia is an awesome Pokemon, and as well as being super strong due to its role as a legendary Pokemon, it also has a great design too. I remember watching an episode from the Pokemon anime when I was younger, in which there was a baby Lugia. Now, I'm not sure how this even happened, but nevertheless, the baby Lugia named Silver was just adorable. Lugia, whether it's massive or a tiny baby, is just an amazing Pokemon that I really like, and it's an awesome Johto Pokemon too. Coming in at the number 7 spot on this list is Fire-type Pokemon Houndoom. In a lot of Pokemon games, Houndoom and its pre-evolution Houndour are Pokemon that have been owned by some evil Pokemon teams, and since I love these Pokemon, it's sad for me to have to make so many of them faint. But why do I love these Pokemon so much? Well, I've never used them on any in-game teams, but I really like them because I think they have awesome and super badass designs. I also remember in an episode of the Johto anime, there was a Houndoom that helped Misty's Togepi get back to the group when it got separated from them. Not only did this show off more of Houndoom's epic design, but it also showed that this Pokemon isn't all bad. I just think that Houndoom is an awesome Pokemon and it deserves much more love. Coming in at the number 6 spot on this list is Scizor. The Johto games introduced evolutions and pre-evolutions to Kanto Pokemon, and Cypher was one of the Pokemon to gain an evolution. And its evolution Scizor is an awesome Pokemon. Apart from its cool design, another reason for why I like this Pokemon is because I remember seeing one in an episode of the Hoenn anime when I was younger. In this episode, there was a Scizor called Red Lightning that beat up other Pokemon, and although it wasn't the kindest Scizor in the world, I still really liked it. Scizor was also another Pokemon to gain gain a Mega Evolution in Pokemon X and Y, and not only did Mega Scizor get stronger, but in my opinion it looked even cooler. On top of all of this, Scizor is also considered to be somewhat of a fan favourite Pokemon, and I mean I can't deny that because I certainly like this Pokemon. Scizor is just amazing and I had to give it a spot on this list today. Coming in at number 5 spot on this list is the electric type Pokemon Ampharos. Now this is actually a Pokemon that I used on my first ever playthrough of Pokemon Soul Silver. When I came across a Mareep for the first time in the wild, I just had to catch it. Mareep is an adorable Pokemon and I also thought the same thing when I first saw one. After training Mareep and eventually it evolving and evolving again, I was left with an awesome Ampharos. This Pokemon, although it doesn't have too much of a complicated design, still looks awesome in my opinion, and it just comes across as a super friendly and strong Pokemon. Like Scizor, Ampharos also gained a Mega Evolution in Pokemon X and Y, and although some people don't like this hairy dragon, there's no denying that it gained a lot of strength with its new Mega Evolution. Ampharos is a fantastic Pokemon that I know a lot of other people also like too, so I had to give it a spot on this list. Coming in at the number 4 spot in this video today is the Pokemon Mantine. Where do I even begin with this Pokemon? Mantine is just amazing. It has a super graceful design which I really like, and on top of that, it can also be a pretty strong Pokemon if given the right set, even if it does have a 4x weakness to electric. One of the reasons why I like Mantine is because of the Pokemon anime. Although it's not popped up as a Pokemon of any of the main characters, I remember in the Universe anime seeing Mantine being used by Marlon, and it was such an amazing Pokemon. I first used a Mantine when I replayed through Pokemon Platinum, and this is my main reason for liking Mantine so much. Even though I caught it as a Mantique at the very end of the game, just before Victory Road, it was still a good Pokemon on my team once it evolved. It did wonders on my team against Elite Force Flint, and did okay with the others too. Mantine also played a good role in the aftergame of Pokemon Platinum for me too. This Pokemon is just so special to me, and for that reason, of course, I had to put it on the list. Coming in at number 3 spot on this list is Girafarig. Now Girafarig is a Pokemon I like mostly because of my use for it in the Pokemon games. In Pokemon Soul Silver, I caught myself a Girafarig because I didn't see too many other people using it in their playthrough videos, and I just wish more people did use it because this Pokemon was awesome in my playthrough, and it saved me from blacking out quite a few times too. On top of that, Girafarig also has a cool typing of Normal and Psychic, which means the Ghost type moves wouldn't affect it, and for a Psychic type Pokemon, that's awesome. I also remember seeing Girafarig being used by Morrison in the Hoenn anime, and although I didn't like Morrison very much, I loved his Girafarig. It just looked so awesome in the Pokemon anime, and I loved it. Girafarig is just one amazing Johto Pokemon, and it is pretty underrated too, but not to me, because this Johto Pokemon is awesome. Coming in at the number 2 spot in this video is Typhlosion. As you guys could probably guess, Typhlosion was my starter Pokemon for the Johto games, and like I previously mentioned on my channel, I've always had a special attachment to all of my starter Pokemon, and the same can certainly be said with Typhlosion. I chose Cyndaquil as my starter Pokemon, and as we both journeyed through the Johto and Kanto regions, I grew to like this Fire Mouse Pokemon more and more. I also know for a fact that there are other massive fans of the Pokemon Typhlosion out there, and I can't blame them because this Pokemon is just epic, and I mean not just Typhlosion either. Cyndaquil, Quilava, and Typhlosion are all amazing Pokemon that I'm glad I used on my playthrough. By far, my Typhlosion was the strongest Pokemon on my team, and it was the first Pokemon on my party to hit level 100 too. I have absolutely no regrets about using this Pokemon on my team. It was just so awesome, but what could have possibly beaten it to the number 1 spot? Oh, how I wonder. So coming in at number 1 spot on this list, if you hadn't already guessed, is Chinchou. Of course, we all know why I like Chinchou. It's because it's the mascot of my channel, but there's also many reasons why it's the mascot of my channel and why I like it so much. Firstly, Chinchou as well as its evolution Lantern are both really adorable Pokemon. I mean, it's not very hard to awe when you take a look at these two beauties, but that's not just why I like Chinchou. I also like it for its unique typing of water and electric. In fact, Chinchou and Lantern are the only two Pokemon that that have this typing. Well, apart from Rotom Wash that is, but it's just a form of Rotom, so it isn't really a Pokemon in itself, it's just a form. There are a lot of water type Pokemon out there, but I feel as though there are none that are quite like Chinchou, and that's what I like about it. I also remember seeing Chinchou from the Pokemon anime too, and seeing Chinchou animated and on my screen only made me see it as a cuter Pokemon. I just really like Chinchou, and not only is that why it's the mascot of my channel, but it's why Chinchou is at the #1 spot on its list today. But anyway, that pretty much ends it for this video, so if you guys enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. Also, be sure to let me know in the comments who some of your favourite Johto Pokemon are. But with all that being said, for now, I've been PokéDan, you've been amazing, and I'll see you guys next time.